I never believed a place like Appalachia could feel more hostile than any war zone I had ever stepped into. The valleys stretched out like scars across the land, dark and endless, their ridgelines clawing at a bruised sky. Mist drifted between the trees as if it were alive, breathing, shifting, watching. The air smelled of wet stone, rust, and pine sap. It should have been beautiful. It should have felt like peace. But every step deeper into those mountains carried the same pressure as stepping into enemy ground, quiet, coiled, waiting. On paper, our orders were harmless. A joint exercise with the National Guard, a few days of coordination drills, a routine display of cooperation. Nothing anyone would remember. But soldiers learned to read silence, and the silence around this mission was wrong. Too many briefings, too many sealed folders, too many officers who couldn't look you in the eye when they said standard procedure. By the time our convoy rattled into that hollow, I knew this wasn't training. It was something else, something cleaner on paper, dirtier in truth. A cleanup maybe, or a burial, the kind the Army writes reports for and never reads again. Even before we set up camp, the place felt aware of us. The trees didn't move with the wind, they listened. The ground didn't just hold our weight, it remembered it. Appalachia wasn't a landscape that night, it was a presence. And from the first breath I took in that hollow, I knew it didn't want us there. The first night in the hollow felt like the earth itself was holding its breath. We had set up camp near what used to be a mining town, a ghost of wood and rust clinging to the side of a hill. The houses leaned toward each other as if they were conspiring, roofs caved in, windows blind. A single church steeple still pierced the fog, its bell blackened by decades of rain, a long rust stain running down the wall like dried blood. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was purposeful. Even the wind avoided that place, skirting the hollow like it feared being trapped inside. I took first watch that night. The air was sharp enough to taste, the cold cutting deep through my gloves. My breath came out in pale clouds hanging in front of me before dissolving into the dark. I was scanning the tree line when I saw them. Prints, a line of boot tracks pressed into the mud, fresh, leading away from camp. They didn't belong to any of us. I'd checked the roster twice, counted heads all accounted for. Still, there they were, heading straight into the trees like a trail someone, or something, wanted us to follow. I called Ruiz over. He crouched beside me, his flashlight grazing the edges of each impression. The prints sank deeper than ours, spaced wide, heavy. "These aren't ours," he said quietly. "Too deep. Whoever made these was carrying weight, a lot of it." We followed the tracks until the forest swallowed the world. The deeper we went, the colder it got. Not natural cold. This was metallic, chemical, like breathing iron dust. The air stung the inside of my nose. The trail ended where the mountain opened its mouth, an old mine shaft, half collapsed, framed by timbers black with rot. A sign that might once have said, "Danger," hung by a single nail, twisting soundlessly. Ruiz wanted to go in. He was younger then, braver, or maybe just stupid. I told him no, we weren't cleared for exploration, and I wasn't about to add missing in action to any of our reports. We turned back, but before we reached the tree line, the mine exhaled. That's the only way I can describe it. A hollow gust rolled out from the darkness, low and heavy, like the earth groaning in its sleep. The leaves around our boots shivered. Ruiz froze, beam trembling in his hand. "You heard that, right?" "Yeah," I said, "and we're not talking about it." We walked back in silence, but something followed us. Not sound, not footsteps, just a pressure. Like the valley was awake now and watching. By morning, the prints were gone. The mud was smooth, untouched, as if the night had erased itself. When I told Lieutenant Haynes, he didn't even look up from his map. "Focus on the mission," he said. "No distractions." I'd heard that tone before. It meant whatever you found, it's already above your pay grade. The town looked almost harmless in daylight. Sunlight spilled over corrugated roofs, turning the rust to copper. The diner sign still clung to flakes of blue paint. A small creek wound through what used to be Main Street, thin and silver, whispering over stones. But beauty can lie. The air still felt hollow. Even the insects stayed quiet. We gathered around the trucks for briefing. Haynes spread a laminated map on the tailgate, pinning the corners with canteens. The terrain lines were stacked tight, a maze of ridges, old haul roads, and 3 entrances marked A, B, and C. Each was circled in red grease pencil with short notes in block letters. A, collapsed face, unstable. B, ventilation compromised. C, sealed by federal order. Joint exercise with the guard, Haynes began, his voice flat. Safety inspection, radiological sweep. He hesitated on the last phrase like he was testing how it sounded in the air. We locate and assess A through C. Log hazards. Do not breach sealed structures. Repeat, do not breach. Ruiz raised an eyebrow. Sir, radiological? Since when do we bring Geiger counters to a training hike? Haynes didn't blink. Since the Bureau of Mines and the Army Signal Corps shared this place back in the 50s, we log readings and we go home. That's all. Jensen, our comms man, jotted notes. Primary channel on short range, backup on guard net. I'll put a relay on the ridge. This valley eats signal. Copy, Haynes said. Doc, oxygen and gas monitors stay on your chest. Cold country. Black damp will drop you before you know it. Dr. Patel tapped the yellow sensor clipped to his vest, running fresh filters. We broke to check gear. I ran my hands along the rifle's sling, tightened the strap on my headlamp. O'Connell, our engineer, coiled 55 cord into a guideline, marking every 10 meters in chalk. He carried wedges and a small sledgehammer, insurance against doors that might decide to close on their own. His quiet focus unsettled me more than his tools. Whitaker from the guard made slow rounds through the skeletal houses. He looked like part of the landscape, broad shoulders under a faded jacket, face carved by weather and years. He'd brought 2 locals with him, both silent, both watchful. Their truck bed carried a dented Pelican case stamped State Rescue. You'll find more than rock in there, Whitaker told me. Old explosives, bad air pockets, sometimes just old anger. Treat the place like it's alive. I asked what he meant about shared use in the 50s. He pointed toward the schoolhouse. Kids here used to hear a humming under the floorboards. No power lines, no mills, nothing. Folks called it the mountain's throat. Year I was born, the Army fenced it off, padlocked it with steel thick as your wrist. Since then, people just learned to walk around that hill. We waited for the fog to lift, eating rations by the church steps. Cheese spread, crackers, coffee that tasted like scorched paper. Alvarez traded a jalapeno packet for a cookie and claimed it was a fair deal. Someone joked about powdered eggs tasting like paint, and we laughed. Not because it was funny, but because laughter keeps fear from taking root. After chow, I took Ruiz and Jensen toward Adit A. The entrance was half buried under a ledge of sagging rock. The air around it was still, dense. Patel flicked his monitor. The oxygen line dipped, then steadied. Too risky. We logged it, marked it with orange tape, and moved on. At Adit B, a fence had collapsed inward. The keep out sign bleached to gray. The frame around the shaft mouth had rotted away, leaving only darkness. A breath of air rolled out, metallic, bitter, the taste of old coins. We set a tripod and camera, chalked the date on a beam, clipped the guideline to our belts, and stepped close enough to feel the cold bleeding off the stone. We didn't go in. Orders were orders, but standing there I could feel vibration in my boots, a faint tremor pulsing from deep inside the mountain. Not sound, not wind, something older, patient, waiting. On the slope above, a survey marker caught the light. A brass disc stamped U.S. Army Corps of Engineers 1952. A thin spiral crack etched across its surface, too deliberate to be natural, curling like frost on glass. We radioed it in. Haynes logged the coordinates. He didn't comment, didn't need to. We were all thinking the same thing. Last night, the mine had breathed. Now, it was listening. By noon, the valley had turned warm again, but the cold from that shaft clung to my skin. Every sound seemed a little too clear, every silence a little too long. Somewhere beyond the ridge, a crow called once and then stopped, as if reminded this place didn't welcome echoes. Whitaker called us over to the church just after noon, his voice low but urgent, the kind of tone soldiers use when they've seen something that doesn't belong in daylight. "You need to see this," he said, and when we stepped through the door, the air changed. Light came through high windows in rigid squares, falling across a floor that still remembered footsteps, though the boards were dust dry. The pews were gone, their ghosts outlined in lighter planks, and the rope for the bell hung straight down from the ceiling, frayed and still clean where hands had once pulled it. A table stood near the back, warped by moisture, and on it someone, long ago or not long enough, had laid out mining helmets in a perfect row. Old carbide lamps, the reflectors scarred with soot, each one a relic of men who'd worked too deep. I picked one up. The glass lens was fogged, gritty under my glove, but when I wiped it clear, I froze. Frost patterns curled on the inside of the lens. 3 thin spirals ending in sharp white dots, identical to the crack on that survey marker. Whitaker swore it wasn't cold when he opened the door. "It was like this already," he whispered. Doc held his hand over the lens. No condensation, no breath. Ruiz blew across it. The frost didn't move. "How does that even happen?" he muttered. No one answered. The silence in that church had weight, as if it wanted to hear our confusion. I turned toward the window and saw the ridge through the glass, the same ridge where adits waited beneath a scar of rock. The tree line looked closer than before, like the whole mountain had taken a step toward town. Back at the trucks, Haynes finally broke whatever spell the church had left on us. He pulled a brown envelope from his ruck and tossed it onto the hood. "Here's your history lesson," he said. Inside were photocopies, Bureau of Mines reports, a Signal Corps memo stamped declassified, a torn heading that read, "Acoustic Propagation Study, Subterranean." The typed notes described interference patterns observed at test shaft C. Personnel reported somatic effects, headache, ear pressure, disturbed sleep, test sequence suspended. Jensen scanned it twice, eyes narrowing. Acoustic propagation, VLF maybe. They were using the mines as waveguides for low-frequency comms. If the cave system's big enough, you could carry a tone for miles. Ruiz shot me a look. "A tone that moves things." I nodded. "Sound at the wrong frequency can shake more than rock." Whitaker thumbed another page. "A contractor installed plates in the walls. Spiral grooves to focus energy. Section K." O'Connell tapped the margin. "That's the same spiral we saw carved into the marker. If one of those plates cracked and stayed live, thermal shifts could keep it resonating." Haynes slid the documents back into the envelope with the efficiency of a man filing away dread. "We're going to look at C. We do not breach. We document and pull out. That's it. But orders have gravity, and sometimes they pull you straight into the hole you're supposed to avoid." Dusk came early in that valley. We hiked along a slope slick with shale until the trees thinned and the mountain opened like a wound. The path dropped past a pile of slate that still smelled of rain, even though the clouds had cleared hours before. A rusted chain hung from a post beside the entrance, the padlock lying open in the mud. Not broken, not cut, unlocked and left behind, as if whoever opened it planned to return. Behind it stood a door, not timber, steel, set 1/2 meter into the rock, stenciled across its face in fading black, "Property of U.S. Government, Section K." A yellow circle, nearly gone, surrounded a small handwheel at chest height. Frost traced each spoke, 3 thin arms ending in bright dots near the hub. "This isn't a mine door," O'Connell murmured, kneeling to study the hinges. "Blast door, light duty, but it'll hold pressure." Doc watched his monitor. The numbers glowed steady green, oxygen normal, gas normal, temperature dropping by the minute. We set up a lamp. Its beam slid over the metal and caught something that didn't fit. Scratches, short and grouped in 3s, climbing the door as if someone had clawed for purchase and slipped. The edges were clean, fresh against the sweating steel. My stomach turned. Jensen's radio hissed. "You hearing this?" he asked. A whisper slid through the channel, a low tone that rose and fell so slightly it felt alive. Not static, not feedback, like someone humming behind the wall. We killed the lamp, leaving only the tight cones of our headlamps, and the sound lingered, a vibration just below hearing, something you felt in bone before ear. Ruiz whispered, "That's what I heard last night, when the tunnel breathed." Whitaker's knuckles whitened on his rifle. "We should chain it up and walk away." Haynes stared at the handwheel, the yellow circle around it, the last trace of color in the hollow. "Orders say, do not breach," he said slowly. "They also say assess. We can't assess what we can't see." No one spoke. The valley waited for our decision like a jury. Finally, he gave the nod. We set a camp light 20 meters back, its glow dull in the mist, and clipped ourselves to the guideline. The ridge above was a black cut against a fading sky. Down in the ghost town, the windows glimmered faintly, catching the last light like old eyes. I drew quick notes in my pad: door, wheel, spiral, frost, scratches, and then wrote the words we all dreaded: entry plan, guideline, 2 in, 2 hold threshold, gas monitor forward, no prolonged contact with metal, if pressure shifts, withdraw. I looked up. Haynes met my eyes. One nod, not command, consent. We just locked lamps, tightened gloves, breathed once more of the outside air. Then Ruiz stepped forward and gripped the wheel. Frost cracked beneath his hand. The hum through the radio deepened, as if something on the other side had been waiting for touch. Steel grated against steel. Each rotation groaned through the frame, a scream buried in metal. Shards of frost broke loose and fell in a soft rain that chimed when it hit the ground. With every turn, the pitch of the hum sank lower, pressing into our chests like a second heartbeat. When the wheel finally spun free, Ruiz stepped back, breathing hard. The latches retracted with a sound like teeth unclenching. The door stayed shut, waiting. 2 on the line, 2 cover, Haynes ordered. He nodded to me. You're first. My glove squeaked on the cold handle. The hinges shrieked as I pushed, a sound so sharp it sliced through the hum, and for one breath it felt like the mountain itself cried out. Then the gap opened, and the dark inside exhaled. Cold rolled over us in a single, steady wave, the taste of iron flooding my mouth. I raised my light. The beam reached only a few feet before it drowned in black. The rails of an old cart track gleamed faintly, disappearing downhill into what felt like eternity. The air was dense, unmoving, as if time itself thickened here. Behind me, Doc called, "Monitors green, no gas, no radiation spike." Haynes's voice was quiet. "Proceed." We moved forward, guideline unwinding between us, the hum pulsing through the radio, through our ribs. Our lamps painted the walls, wet stone, glittering seams of quartz, and then something else. Metal plates bolted into rock, circular, carved with spirals just like the drawings. They shone wetly, alive. Each groove ended in a central stud that caught the light and threw it back like an eye-opening. The hum swelled. My teeth buzzed. "Document it," Haynes said. "No contact." We took photos, logged readings, every number normal, every instinct screaming otherwise. Ruiz's beam swept the chamber and froze. "Sir," he whispered. "Tracks." I turned. Footprints pressed deep into the dust. Human, but wrong. Too long at the toes, too heavy at the heel. Starting in the center of the room and ending at a wall of solid stone. No entry, no exit, just arrival. None of us spoke. Somewhere deep behind that wall, the hum shifted, almost forming a rhythm, like something breathing, slow and patient. That's when I realized it wasn't an echo. It was a reply. We pushed deeper into the tunnel, each step swallowed by the dark until the outside world felt imagined. The hum kept crawling through the stone, steady as a pulse beneath our boots. The farther we went, the less air seemed to move. It pressed against our faces like water. Beams trembled in our lights, damp with centuries of sweat and mineral. Every sound folded back on itself, echo layered on echo until it stopped sounding like us. "Feels like walking inside a throat," Ruiz muttered, and no one corrected him. The passage narrowed until our shoulders brushed the walls. Then it opened again, spilling into a chamber that should have been silent, but wasn't. The sound was faint, like breath drawn through miles of wire. On the far wall, more of the plates waited, massive, round, their spiral grooves catching the beam of my lamp and throwing it back in fractured rings. They looked new, polished, impossible. "Section K plates," O'Connell whispered, his voice reverent and afraid. "Perfect condition." The hum grew louder as if our attention fed it. My teeth ached. Haynes told us to log everything, no contact, and we obeyed, though the metal seemed to vibrate at the edge of our bones. Jensen's hand trembled as he set the tripod. Ruiz stepped sideways, his light sweeping over dust so thick it looked like fog trapped in air, and froze. "Sir," he said, "we've got prints again." The tracks were fresh, pressed deep into the powdery floor. Boot-shaped, but off. Long toes, the arch heavy as if whoever made them leaned forward. They began in the center of the room and ended at blank stone. No door, no seam, just gone. Haynes's voice cracked once when he finally said, "Mark it. Move on." The order echoed flat against the rock, and something in me knew he didn't believe it either. We kept going. The tunnel curved, walls sweating thin streams that glittered like veins. Every 20 meters a known. Their plate was bolted into stone. Each one shivered when we passed, the vibration brushing the guideline like a living thing. Jensen's radio flared, one sharp spike of static, then a voice, drawn out and distorted, like words pulled through a dream. "Hold, line, don't." The rest drowned in the hum. Haynes snapped, "Say again." Nothing. Jensen rewound the buffer, his thumb shaking. The recording played back the same broken phrase, "Hold the line, don't turn," spoken in a tone calm enough to make it worse. "Channels closed," Jensen whispered. "That shouldn't even be possible." The hair on my arm stood up under the sleeves. We all heard it, but no one wanted to admit the voice didn't sound unfamiliar. It sounded like one of us. The tunnel widened again. A collapsed shaft tore open the left wall. Timbers splintered like ribs. Water pooled at the bottom, black as oil. When our lights hit it, the surface rippled. Not from air, not from us, but from something underneath pushing once. Slow, deliberate. Ruiz swore under his breath. "Tell me you saw that." I had. Haynes raised a fist. "Hold position, camera on the pool." We set another tripod, the lens staring into stillness. The water reflected our lamps and nothing else, yet the pressure in the room shifted, like something vast had leaned closer to listen. Then Doc's monitor chirped, a sharp tick cutting through the hum. "Not oxygen, not gas," he said, frowning. "Low radiation rise, minor but climbing." Haynes's jaw tightened. "Log it." The counter ticked again, faster. We'd been inside 20 minutes. It felt like days. The hum thickened until it was more vibration than sound, shivering through the rail under my feet. Dust drifted down in faint threads, glittering like snow. "Pull back," Haynes ordered, and we began retreating along the guideline, step by step. The hum didn't fade. It followed, sinking lower until it lived inside the chest cavity, beating with our hearts. My head pounded. The lights flickered once, twice, and then all at once every beam dimmed. For half a breath we were blind. Something stood between us and the door. It wasn't shadow. It was darker than shadow. An outline shaped like a man but wavering, edges running like melted film. It didn't walk. It vibrated with the same rhythm as the hum. Ruiz lifted his rifle. "Contact front." "Hold," Haynes barked. But Ruiz wasn't panicking. The thing moved toward us, the air trembling with each pulse. The guideline twitched, went slack, then snapped tight like a snare, yanking forward. The pull dragged me off balance. "Cut the line," I shouted. O'Connell's knife flashed, severing it. The cord recoiled, the pressure vanished, and I stumbled back against the wall. The shape flickered, shimmered, and dissolved into air, leaving the space colder than before. The hum dropped half a pitch, a groan through the bones of the mountain. None of us spoke. Our breaths came in ragged clouds. Haynes's voice finally broke the silence. "Out. Now." We moved fast, but not fast enough. The door slammed behind us before we touched it, the impact echoing like thunder through the corridor. None of us had closed it. The hum vanished so suddenly it hurt, like a sound cut mid-heartbeat. We ripped our helmets off to breathe, the outside air burning like fire in our lungs. Ruiz paced circles, muttering prayers and curses tangled together. Doc checked vitals with shaking hands. Everyone's pulse raced like they'd run miles. O'Connell stared at the severed line coiled on the ground, lips moving soundlessly as if expecting it to twitch again. Haynes crouched near the steel, his eyes hollow. Not one word outside. "This unit," he said, "we log readings. We log anomalies. That's all." His voice was flat, not command, but survival. Whitaker stepped forward, pale under his stubble. "Lieutenant, that thing wasn't human." Haynes didn't answer. His gaze drifted up toward the ridge where the tree line leaned over the hollow like eavesdropping giants. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, "we burn this site off the map. Tonight, nobody goes alone. Nobody sleeps without a rifle." We trudged back to camp beneath a sky drained of color. The fog rolled in thick and low, clinging to our legs. No one spoke. Even the gravel under our boots seemed to muffle itself. At the edge of camp, the generator's hum felt too familiar, too synchronized with the one we'd just escaped, and I wanted to shut it off just to make sure the silence was real. That night, I lay in my bag listening to the wind scrape against the tents. For a long time, there was nothing. Then it came back, faint, steady, crawling up through the ground, the same tone we'd heard beneath the rock. Not loud, not near, but constant. I knew it wasn't equipment. It was the mountain calling softly, testing how far its breath could reach. When I finally drifted toward sleep, I dreamed of the chamber again, of the footprints that began from nothing, and of the shape standing between us and the door, watching, patient, waiting for the next time someone turned the wheel. I woke before dawn to the sound of boots circling the tent, crunching gravel in perfect rhythm, never pausing, never turning. At first I thought it was the perimeter guard, but the pattern was wrong, too even, too mechanical, looping the same circle again and again like a record skipping. I reached for my rifle, unzipped the flap, and stared into a wall of fog so thick it pressed against the canvas like smoke. The footsteps stopped the moment I looked out. Ruiz was already crouched by the fire pit, rifle across his knees, eyes hollow from another sleepless night. "You hear it too?" he asked. I nodded. "You see who it was?" "Didn't have to," he said. Sounded like someone pacing us in the dark, always the same distance out. Before I could answer, Haynes stepped from his tent, helmet on, sidearm unstrapped. "No one moves alone," he said, scanning the fog. "Buddy system, even to piss." When the sun finally burned through the mist, it felt like the valley was pretending to apologize. Blue sky, wet grass, everything washed in gold, but it didn't feel honest. We regrouped near the church. Jensen replayed the radio interference from inside Section K. The words were clearer this time, sharpened by the night. "Hold the line. Don't turn." He tried to rationalize it, said maybe it was bleed over from an old recording. Maybe the plates acted like receivers. Maybe ghosts could travel through frequency if you gave them a signal. Ruiz just stared. "Receivers for who?" he asked. No one had an answer. That was when Whitaker's men came from the company houses carrying something wrapped in cloth, a ledger, leather split and brittle, the pages inside warped by time. They said they'd found it beneath a loose floorboard in one of the bunkhouses. We gathered around as they laid it on the hood of a truck. The writing wasn't financial, not names or pay lines. These were logs. Each page listed shifts out, TS, temperatures, tonal readings, columns of data scrawled in a precise hand. The earliest date was 1951. The last page stopped mid-sentence in 1952. Beside the neat columns of numbers were short notes. Tone sustained, resonance acceptable, somatic response, mild vertigo, subject K12 reports auditory distortion, subject K13 visual aberration. Doc frowned, tracing a finger down the page. "Subjects," he said quietly, "not minors. Test volunteers." "Or prisoners," Whitaker muttered. The later entries grew frantic, the handwriting jagged, ink smeared like the writer's hand had trembled. Uncontrolled resonance event. 4 fatalities. All plates sealed. Site abandoned. The final note was nearly unreadable, water-stained and broken, but 2 lines were still clear enough to twist the stomach. "The sound does not stop when the machines are off. It waits where the dark is deepest." Nobody spoke for a long time. Every one of us was thinking the same thing. Section K hadn't been sealed because of a collapse. It had been sealed because something inside refused to stop. That evening, Haynes ordered a security sweep. We split into pairs, checking the outskirts of town and the old structures we'd skipped before. O'Connell and I took the ridge watch. The air felt stretched, thinner somehow, as if sound itself had been pulled tight. For the first hour, nothing moved except the fog. Then the humming started again. Not from the mine, not from below, everywhere. The trees vibrated with it, their leaves shivering without wind. It crawled through the wood of the truck bed, through our armor plates, through bone. O'Connell cursed softly and tore off his headset. "You feel that?" I did. It was like someone pressing a palm against my chest from the inside. Movement flickered near the church. A tall figure, half glimpsed through fog, walking with the same rhythm as the footsteps from the night befit. 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. Too long-limbed. The outline bent in ways human joints didn't. I raised my rifle. Contact by the church. O'Connell swung the floodlight. The yard was empty, just grass waving slow in the cold air. "Christ," he whispered. "Tell me I wasn't the only one." "You weren't." We didn't put it in the report. Fear makes liars of soldiers, but word still spread before sunrise. By breakfast, everyone looked like they'd aged years. Alvarez wouldn't stop shaking his head. "It's not just shadows," he said. "I dreamed something standing over me last night, felt it humming through my chest, like my lungs weren't mine." Doc snapped, sharper than I'd ever heard him. "Dreams don't leave bruises." He yanked his sleeve up. The forearm underneath was marked with faint spirals, etched white like frost. Not ink, not burns. Frost that shimmered faintly in the light. His skin was cold to the touch. The same spiral, the same dots at the ends. the same pattern from the plates. We stared in silence as he wrapped it with gauze. Psychosomatic, he muttered. Stress reaction. None of us believed him. The hum had marked him, and deep down we knew it. Haynes decided right then we weren't waiting for orders. We sweep the town, document everything, then we're done. Extraction at first light tomorrow. The sweep only made things worse. Ruiz and 2 of the guardsmen checked the schoolhouse. I was with them when they pried open the basement door. The air inside was stale, metallic. At the far wall, half covered in dust, leaned another plate, identical to the ones in Section K, its spiral grooves polished clean as if freshly touched. In front of it lay bones. Small ones, the rib cage of a child. We all froze. The silence in that room was thicker than the dark. O'Connell whispered the words none of us wanted to say. They tested it on kids. Jensen swore and kicked the wall, dust raining down. What kind of operation was this? Ruiz's voice cracked. The usual kind, he said bitterly. The kind no one's supposed to remember. We backed out with, out another word. No one logged it. Some things you don't put in reports because writing them down makes them real. That night, the hum came back stronger. It wasn't just the ground anymore. It was in the air, in the metal of our rifles, in our bones. Every loose item on the tables rattled. Dog tags buzzed against armor. The fillings in my teeth sang. We huddled in the church, lantern low, rifles ready. Haynes tried to keep us steady. We hold till sunrise, he said. Then we call for extraction. But the radios refused to stay clean. Every channel filled with that same voice, repeating over and over, calm, steady, patient. Hold the line. Don't turn. Ruiz clutched his head. It's not coming through the set, he said. It's coming from the plates, from the ground. He was right. The church windows began to frost from the inside, spirals blooming across the glass like veins of ice, moving faster with every breath we took. Whitaker stood shaking, his face gone gray. You don't understand, he said to Haynes. This place doesn't want us here. Those plates, they're not transmitters, they're invitations. Haynes demanded, invitations to what? Whitaker's eyes locked on the frost. To whatever hums when the dark gets deepest. The lantern sputtered. For a heartbeat, the world went black. And in that breathless dark, something moved between us. Not footsteps, proximity. The air flexed, pressing against skin. When the light flared back, 2 men were gone. Alvarez and one of the guardsmen. Their rifles lay where they'd sat, their boots still on the floor, but they were gone, erased clean as the footprints in the mud days before. The hum fell silent. The frost stopped growing. No one breathed. And in that silence, I realized we hadn't just woken something in the hollow. We'd opened its door, and now it knew our names. The first seconds after Alvarez and the guardsman vanished, stretched like a blade across the room. Too sharp, too thin to breathe through. No one moved. No one even dared shift their weight. The frost on the windows kept crawling outward in slow white veins, while the lantern flame danced as if trying to flee. Haynes's voice finally cut through the paralysis, low and trembling but still carrying authority. Gear up, he said. We're not staying in this damn church another minute. Chairs scraped, zippers hissed, weapons snapped into hands. We packed fast, rucks half closed, sensors abandoned, discipline traded for survival. When we stepped outside, the fog clung to the ground like smoke from a fire that never burned out. The town looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. Every window seemed to lean closer, every door breathed. Jensen tried the radio, static first, then that calm, perfect voice again. Hold the line, don't turn. It sounded almost human this time, too human. The cadence clipped like a drill command echoing across decades. Doc's hands shook as he scanned the group. Where the hell did they go? People don't just vanish. Whitaker's eyes glistened in the lantern light. They didn't vanish, he said. They were taken, pulled across. Across what? I asked. He shook his head. Wherever that hum leads. And if we stay, it's coming for us too. Haynes didn't argue. We fall back to the trucks, he ordered. Regroup on the ridge, daylight extraction. We formed up in staggered file and started down the street, boots crunching gravel that sounded too loud, too final. The fog thickened until the buildings melted into shadows. Ruiz whispered prayers in Spanish between curses, his eyes darting backward every few steps like he expected Alvarez to stumble out behind us. But the street remained empty. And that emptiness was worse than any pursuit. Halfway to the ridge, the hum returned, stronger this time, filling not just the air, but the earth beneath us. It rattled through our bones, an invisible current winding through flesh and metal. Pebbles rolled down the slate piles, bouncing like teeth. "Pick it up," Haynes barked, but before we could move faster, another sound joined it. Boots on hollow wood, dozens of them, marching out of sync on the boards of the old houses. Doors slammed in sequence. Windows rattled. We couldn't see a single figure, but we could hear a platoon moving with us, unseen, keeping pace. "Go, go, go," Haynes shouted. We ran. The fog tore around our legs like fabric. Headlamps cut narrow tunnels through gray nothing. O'Connell stumbled over a half-buried rail. Ruiz yanked him up without slowing. The rhythm of the invisible marchers grew louder, overlapping and circling us. By the time we reached the trucks, the sound stopped. Not faded, stopped, like a breath held by the entire valley. The silence that followed was worse than noise, thick and absolute. Haynes split us into defensive positions, 2 on the ridge with scopes, 2 covering the road, the rest around the vehicles. We aimed into the mist. Nothing moved. Then Jensen whispered, "Look." The church down the slope glowed. At first it was faint, a sickly shimmer leaking through the windows, then brighter, pulsing with the same rhythm as the hum. The frost spirals on the glass shone like veins of light, feeding on the dark. The bell rope jerked once, twice, then the bell began to swing on its own. The sound that came out wasn't a bell at all. It was the hum, amplified, metal twisted into a throat. The entire valley vibrated. Whitaker went pale. "They've opened it," he said. "Shut up," Haynes snapped, but his voice cracked. The glow spread across the street like liquid silver, crawling up walls, along rails, seeping into every crack. "If that reaches us, we move," Ruiz warned, chambering around. "We move, but we don't break," Haynes said. "No one runs." The light kept advancing, pulsing faster, each wave dimming our headlamps. My breath came short, the air thickened, stealing heat from skin. Shapes emerged inside the glow, figures, first 1, then 3, then a line of them stretching from the church door down the street. Human silhouettes, blurred and trembling, each one vibrating in rhythm with the hum. They stood shoulder to shoulder, an army of outlines flickering like film caught in a projector. "That's a squad," Jensen whispered. Whitaker shook his head. "Not a squad, the ones who went before." We raised rifles but didn't fire. Every instinct screamed that bullets wouldn't matter. The glow swelled, and the figures multiplied. 20, 50, more, spreading until the whole valley moved like a single living pulse. My vision shimmered, teeth buzzed. The frost crawled up our barrels, spiderwebbing across steel. "Move!" Haynes shouted. "Up the ridge, now!" We scrambled, dragging Doc and O'Connell, stumbling through wet rock while the light chased us, surging faster than fire. I could feel the cold nipping my boots, biting skin through fabric, climbing my legs like hands. When we hit the tree line, I looked back and nearly forgot to breathe. The town was gone. Every house, every street drowned in white-blue radiance. The figures stood in formation at its edge, hundreds of them now, featureless soldiers frozen mid-march. The hum roared through the valley, steady and endless, and beneath it something new echoed, a lower tone, slower, deeper, like the earth itself joining the chorus. Jensen's radio hissed once, then came alive with a voice clearer than ever, clipped and calm. "Hold the line, don't turn." We stood at the ridge's edge, light bleeding between the trees, our breaths frosting the air. "Lieutenant," Ruiz said softly, eyes fixed on the glow. "That's not stop." Ping! Haynes stared down the slope, jaw set, hands shaking. "Then neither do we," he said. And in that moment I understood. We weren't escaping. We were already part of it. Another layer added to the hum. The ridge wasn't high enough. From above, the valley pulsed like a living lung, inhaling and exhaling light. Each beat sent the hum deeper through the earth, through our boots, through the bone itself. My ribs ached with it. Below us, the town no longer existed. Just silhouettes of houses flickering like film burning through a projector. And the figures, dozens, then hundreds, stood in perfect formation, stretching from the church to the tracks at Section K. They didn't advance. They waited, their outlines trembling with each pulse. Haynes crouched beside me, eyes locked on the glow, jaw set in the kind of grim acceptance soldiers reserve for orders they'll never escape. "We're not running blind," he said. "We cut north. The ridgeline leads out of the hollow. Guard birds can spot us at first light." Whitaker shook his head. "You don't get it," he said. This isn't about the town. The glow's inside the mountain now. You move north, it follows. You stay, it swallows. Ruiz's face gleamed with sweat, rifle trembling in his hands. Then we hold here, he said. We hold it back. Before Haynes could answer, the hum shifted pitch, sharp, cutting, and every tree around us shuddered. Branches cracked, needles rained down in green flurries. Then the footsteps began again, not below this time but around us, circling through the fog, boots crunching on stone in a rhythm that mirrored our heartbeats. "Contact left," O'Connell yelled, spinning and firing into the mist. The muzzle flashes lit the trees for a heartbeat, revealing shapes between them, tall, blurred, wrong. Each one flickered in and out of existence like bad film splicing itself together. They weren't attacking, they were surrounding. "Form a line," Haynes barked, and we backed against the ridge wall, rifles raised, headlamps cutting jagged cones through the fog. The figures moved closer, phasing in and out, each step matching the hum's rhythm until the sound and motion became one thing. I fired, once, twice, the rounds ripping through a shape and turning it solid for a second. Helmet, webbing, rifle, then gone again, dissolving into light. "They're soldiers," Ruiz whispered, horror trembling in his voice. "They're us." Doc's monitor screamed, radiation spike, then cut out, sparks spraying across his chest. "The plates," he gasped. "They're not transmitters, they're converters, turning sound into—" He never finished. One of the shapes slammed into him like a wave. He flew backward, struck a tree, and slid down boneless. Frost spirals spread across his armor in seconds, veins of ice crawling up his neck. "Medic!" Haynes shouted, but there was nothing to save. Patel gasped once, then went still, eyes filmed white. The hum climbed higher, rattling the air itself. Below us, light surged up the trunks of trees, frost blooming upward in jagged spirals, feeding the glow. Out of the radiance, more shapes appeared, no longer blurred. A full company now, solid, uniformed, marching in silence. Rifles at port arms, boots in perfect rhythm, an army of ghosts answering orders long since forgotten. "Jesus Christ," O'Connell breathed. "It's a parade of the dead." "Hold the line!" Haynes roared, his voice cutting through the sound like a blade. We opened fire in volleys, tracers slicing red arcs through white mist. The bullets slowed them, shattered outlines into sparks, but they reformed, whole again, inexorable. The glow swallowed the lower ridge, the hum became a roar. Jensen's radio screeched, then cleared to that same calm voice, closer now, louder. "Hold the line, don't turn." "It's them," Ruiz shouted. "They're giving orders." Haynes's voice came back like iron striking stone. "Then we answer!" He ripped a flare from his vest, cracked it open. Red light hissed through the fog, painting everything in blood. "Affix bayonets," he commanded. The figures hesitated for a heartbeat, as if that one human ritual, violent and old, reminded them of who they once were. But then they came again, breaking through the smoke. One passed straight through O'Connell, and he screamed, a raw sound that shredded the air. Frost carved his face in spirals, glowing faint blue beneath the skin. I caught him as he fell, but his eyes had gone blank. Another shape crashed into Ruiz. They wrestled in the mist, man and echo locked together, blades scraping through light. Ruiz tore free, gasping, arms shimmering with frost that burned instead of froze. "We're not going to win this," I shouted. Haynes met my eyes, his face illuminated by the flare's red glow. "No," he said, "but they'll remember we fought." He raised the flare like a standard and waved it high. The shapes faltered, rippling with confusion, and Haynes took the moment. "Fall back to Section K," he ordered. "If it started there, it ends there." We dragged O'Connell's limp body and Patel's silent one, stumbling down the slope as the hum chased us, pounding like artillery through our skulls. The figures swarmed behind, flickering in and out, reaching with hands made of frost and light. The mine door stood waiting, steel sweating cold, spirals of ice blooming fresh across its face. Haynes staggered to it, palms bleeding, breath like smoke. "We seal it," he panted. "We hold it shut from the inside. If it wants soldiers, it can have me, not all of us." Ruiz's voice cracked. "It already marked me," he said. His arm glowed faintly blue beneath the frost. "I'll hold it. You get them out." Haynes stared at him, jaw tight, and for a second I saw the soldier under the officer, tired, knowing. He nodded once. We forced the door open, dragging the wounded inside. The chamber glowed like a furnace, every plate alive with light. The hum was deafening, the air alive. Ruiz unclipped from the line, turned to us, eyes hollow but calm. "It's not a warning," he shouted over the noise. "It's an order. Hold the line." Then he plunged deeper into the light. Haynes slammed the door, the wheels screaming as we spun it shut. Frost raced across the steel, sealing him inside, the hum muffled to a low heartbeat. We collapsed against the frame, lungs burning. Down in the valley, the glow began to fade, folding back into itself, one pulse at a time. The figures dissolved, leaving only silence. Haynes wiped frost from his beard, staring at the door. "He bought us time," he whispered. "But time isn't victory." Morning came without birds. No sun touched the hollow, only a pale gray light that made the world look unfinished. The valley lay still beneath us, drained of color, the glow gone but not dead, just sleeping under the rock. From the ridge it looked like any other abandoned mining town, but I knew better. The air still hummed, faint and patient, like a machine idling far below. We packed in silence. No jokes, no radio chatter, just the scrape of gear and the hollow clank of rifles against armor. Patel never woke fully. He drifted in and out, breath shallow, skin traced with frost spirals no bandage could hide. O'Connell moved like a ghost himself, eyes empty, whispering, "He held it, he held it," as though the words alone kept Ruiz alive. When Haynes gave the order to move, no one argued. We climbed out of the hollow, boots sinking in mud softened by fog, each step heavier than the last. Halfway up, Jensen's radio crackled once, no static, no interference, just a faint humming, slow and steady, like someone breathing against the mic. Jensen froze, then ripped the headset off and shoved it in his pocket. "It's him," he muttered. None of us answered because we all believed it. By midday, sunlight broke through the trees. It should have felt like salvation, but the warmth on my face burned instead, as if the frost inside my veins was fighting it. When we reached the rally point, guard trucks waited. Fresh uniforms, clean faces, men who hadn't heard the hum yet. They looked at us like we'd crawled out of the earth. Maybe we had. The captain asked Haynes for his report. Haynes handed him the sealed envelope. Notes, photos, readings, all the proof that would never matter. "Mine's unsafe," he said flatly. "Radiological readings inconsistent, no salvage recommended, permanent closure. Not a single word about the glow, not one mention of the figures or Ruiz." The captain nodded, Sagna, "Id the log," and waved us aboard. Just another exercise checked off the books. On the ride back, the ridge disappeared behind us, trees standing tall and indifferent. But the hum stayed. I could feel it thrumming through the frame of the truck, faint as breath through metal. Back at base, they tore us apart for debrief. Medical exams, gear inspections, written statements. They took our cameras, our maps, the ledger, everything labeled confidential and buried in some archive that doesn't exist. When it was my turn, the officer across the table didn't look up once. "Any casualties?" "2 missing, 1 deceased." "Cause?" "Lost during subterranean assessment." He wrote it down without a pause. Maybe he already knew the truth. Maybe he'd heard the hum too. Afterward, they scattered us. Different units, different assignments. Patel went to a hospital and never came out. O'Connell transferred to engineering support, but sent me 1 letter before disappearing entirely. Whitaker's men went back to the guard with silence stitched into their mouths. 3 weeks later, I was shipped overseas. Different war, same ghosts. But nights are worse now. Sometimes when I'm cleaning my rifle or staring at the barrack ceiling, I feel it again, a vibration low in the ribs, faint as a memory but steady as blood. The hum finds pipes, wires, walls. It waits until the world is quiet. Then it speaks. I see Ruiz in my dreams, not as he was, but as he became. Standing in that chamber, flare in one hand, swallowed by the light. His body dissolved, but his shape still there, part of the pattern. He never talks. He just stares, eyes pale, chest moving with the hum. I tell myself he chose it, that he bought us survival, but deep down I know he didn't choose anything. The mountain marked him the first night when the mine breathed, and everything after was just ritual. I tried to find records once, Section K, Bureau of Mines, Signal Corps experiments. Nothing. Not redacted, not classified, erased. Even the town's name is gone, just a dot on maps with no label. but I know it's still there. The church, the plates, the frost waiting on glass, the hum still trapped beneath the stone. One day another unit will go in, maybe for training, maybe for cleanup, maybe because someone finds an old memo and thinks it's safe again. They'll walk into the same valley, they'll hear the same tone under their boots, and the hollow will be waiting. The last time I saw Haynes, he looked thinner, eyes sunken, but the steel in his voice was the same. He said they'd offered him a desk job and he'd refused. "I'm not done holding lines," he told me, and when he shook my hand, his grip was cold as iron. "You feel it too, don't you?" he asked. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Now, years later, I sit in rooms full of people who'll never know what happened in that place. They laugh, they drink, they talk about wars that left clean scars, and every so often the lights flicker or the pipes rattle or the air turns still, and I hear it again. That low vibration, patient and endless, the hum of Section K Ruiz is still down there, holding the line. The mountains still listening, and the silence that follows is never silence. It's the sound waiting to start again. And that, my friends, is why I don't go hiking, mining, or even standing near hills that hum. If you ever hear a strange, low vibration coming from the ground, don't investigate. Don't record it. Don't check it out for content. Just run. Let Ruiz hold the line. You hold the Wi-Fi signal. If this story kept you up tonight, go ahead and make it worth the nightmares. Smash that like button like it's a glowing metal plate. Drop a comment if your lights just flickered because same, and subscribe before the hum finds you. Remember, if your radio ever whispers, "Hold the line," don't turn. It's not your notification sound. It's your cue to binge another episode. See you in the next blackout. Stay curious, stay scared, and whatever you do, don't turn.